Hello, it's your old pal, Dr. Bruno Subarao, here again to take you one step closer to becoming a PM&R superstar. Why? Because this is my New Year's resolution, and no one ever gives up on their New Year's resolutions. Dr. Bruno will make you a PM&R superstar. A 73-year-old male suffered a stroke. He cannot move his right eye inward or upward, and his pupil is enlarged and does not react to light. He has weakness of the left extremities, but no tremor was noted. What's he most likely suffering from? Is it A. Weber syndrome, B. Claude syndrome, C. Benedict syndrome, D. Lateral medullary syndrome or Wallenberg syndrome, or E. locked-in syndrome? Phew! So let's review our anatomy. Boo. Inner head voice, that's your anatomy. We're talking about the brain's anatomy. Hooray! So here we have a photo-accurate depiction of the brainstem. Yes, we have the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla. Each one has cranial nerves. 1 and 2 are of course in the cerebrum, but the midbrain has cranial nerve number 3, the oculomotor nerve, and damage here can cause a blown out pupil. And so can my good looks. Now the pons has cranial nerve 6, the abducens nerve, which helps with, you guessed it, abduction of the eyes. It feeds the lateral rectus muscle, and when this isn't working, depending on the side, the left eye can't look left or the right eye can't look right. To all my narcissists out there, it's time we stop looking outward and start looking inward. And finally, we have cranial nerve 12, the hypoglossal nerve, which is in the medulla. An injury here could cause dysphagia and dysarthria, as this nerve supplies motor fibers to the tongue. So there you have it. You have 3 in the midbrain, double that to 6 in the pons, and double that again to 12 in the medulla. And you have the 3 cranial nerves that can be affected with medial brainstem syndromes. And of course, here are the rest of our cranial nerves, and yes, we'll get back to these in a later video. Hey! No spoilers. Well, our patient clearly has a blown pupil. So when it comes to brainstem syndromes, we can now narrow it down to the midbrain because clearly cranial nerve 3 has been affected. So that leaves us with A, B, or C, Weber syndrome, Claude syndrome, or Benedict syndrome. Now, Weber syndrome is the most benign. It has the third nerve palsy and contralateral hemiparesis. Claude syndrome is Weber, but with the rubral tremor because the red nucleus is affected. How do we remember this? Ho, 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 Merry Mnemonica. Yes, it's Santa Claus, everybody. Santa Claus dresses in all red, and he's out in the freezing cold, trembling, trying to find my house to deliver his usual big dusty chunk of coal. And finally, Benedict syndrome has all of the above, plus involuntary movements. Yeah, he's a real dict. And so the answer is A, Weber syndrome. Now, as far as lateral medullary syndrome goes, it can occur with compromise of the PICA, the posterior inferior cerebellar artery. And it presents with cross signs where you get an ipsilateral Horner syndrome, remember meiosis, anhidrosis, and ptosis, and contralateral loss of pain and temperature sensation. Also expect some dysphagia and hoarseness from involvement of the lateral cranial nerves 9 and 10. And lastly, if you run a Ponzi scheme, you're going to get locked in jail. That's right, you get locked-in syndrome from injury to the pons supplied by the basilar artery. This is seen with bilateral lesions of the ventral pons, but the reticular activating system is spared in the injury. So the patient does remain fully conscious, but he can only move his eyes vertically or blink. Well, I hope you stay locked in to this channel. Subscribe below if you want some more. We'll see each other next time. Great job.